Good evening, race fans. Welcome back to the knockout competition. This is week 3, and we are looking at a race of 90s cocaine fuel. Wait, we already used that. No, don't adjust your dial. We actually are having almost a repeat performance, this time with different players. Carrera's Grant in the Viper versus this time Hutch in an F50. But this one's red instead of purple. We're going to see if he suffers the same fate as Moose or Sean, if whichever way you knew him, with the purple car. Let's cut right to it. It is even, but it looks like the Viper has the nose going into it. The F50 is all over him, but once again, the Viper keeps the lead. He's closing in, and into the box they go. 9.936. Back to it. Lanes are swapped. The cars are racked. Match 1, round 2. This time the F50 has the lead, and the Viper slides. Loses a lot of speed, actually. He's all alone out there. The F50 puts it in the box. Oh my. 9.898. Carrera loses the Viper. Stalled on the inside of the turn. Oh, man. Man, I don't think anyone saw that coming. And so Hutch gains a new car. Match 2, round 1, and Kevin Rose with that way too fast as a wounded man, having lost the Crunch Chief to Mr. Mom's Racing, which, hey, shout out, Mr. Mom, I'd like to have a bit of contact with you about your 3 cars. At this point, he's taking on Willie Make It in that 68 El Camino. This should prove to be an interesting race. Both cars are similarly weighted. Well, let's see what happens, huh? And the way too fast is lengthening out. The El Camino spins. All he has to do is hold it together, and he does firmly into the box. Good solid run, 8.6. That's a nice and hot range. Let's go looking what happened to Willie. He lost her on the bridge turn. Well, bridge straight, excuse me. Kevin Rose may be a one-car man, but he will not be denied. But if you're paying attention to that last race, Willie wasn't too far out of the frame. And anything is possible in the hollow, but he does have to beat an 8.6, and that's getting up there in territory. Let's see what happens. Oh, the way too fast got kicked off. What? It's down to Willie. He does a slide. It doesn't look like. It is not fast enough. 9.2. What happened to the way too fast? Must have dipped a wheel off and hit the divider. Hopefully that didn't hurt the axle. Should have known from the word go that Kevin wasn't out of the running yet. Keep an eye on him. He may be wounded, but he is still deadly. Match 3, and potentially the widest race of the entire bunch. Cody Irons in that low-slung Diablo taking on the unchallenged Greg Hearn in another car that would be a leftover Corgi Classic after Mattel's adoption back in the early 90s. This Carrera is a big girl. Let's see if she can dance. The moment the Diablo's ahead, the Carrera's all over him. The Diablo does a little wiggle on its ass. The Carrera is all over him, but not enough. Into the box, 9-7. 9-7-8-6 for Cody. Match 3, round 2. Cody only has to win, and hopefully will break the Diablo's constant losing streak. Greg Hearn has to place first and beat a 9.786 in order to place and claim his first new car. For the moment, oh, that Carrera is out, but a heavy wiggle. He is all over the place, but he is maintaining the lead. The Diablo sinks it in behind him, and Greg Hearn wins it. And the Diablo continues to lose. And so the Italian curse continues. But really, though, the true star here is that ex-Corgi Mattel. These aren't known for being very fast, but this one seems to work. Match 4, round 1, and a little bit of Mopar madness. Mr. Dark and his newly acquired Roadrunner decided to call out the big wing car of Katie. Well, let's see if she can cut through the air as well as it looks. Off we go. It's pretty even for the moment. Actually, the Roadrunner comes out ahead. The Daytona was all over, and it appears it has stalled. Mr. Dark pushed it in the box, 9.673 at 254. What happened to the Daytona? Appears to have been bumped off track. Match 4, round 2. The cars are swapped. And they are racked. Let's get it. Daytona has a nose out, but all of a sudden the Roadrunner passes them. They're all over each other. But then the Daytona loses speed. That's the ball game. How about that? Mr. Dark is a Mopar man, having claimed now his second and now owning 3 outright. With a solid performance, we have to know that Mr. Dark is probably not going to keep that Daytona. And it's no wonder that Mattel ended up going with this much hotter redesign a couple years later. Match 5, round 1, and it looks like we're going to be leaving this video on an interesting note. Hutch here looks to be briefly the first 4-car owner in this series, at least until he gets rid of 2 of them. Will the GT40 be his next victim? Let's find out. Crazy 8s does have the lead. The GT40 is looking pretty hard. Into the box we go at a 9.112. With round 1 in the books, Hutch should be a little bit concerned. His star car has been running slower and slower through the series, and we're not entirely sure why. Meanwhile, the GT40 has shown a presence of running into the 8s, which is all he would need to do to pluck that crazy 8 off of Hutch. And so it goes. The GT40 does have the lead. Crazy 8s is sliding and losing ground. GT40 rockets into the box. And sure enough, 312 miles an hour. That's flying. Nope, 8.664. Hutch loses Crazy 8s. And so Steven lucked out. The GT40 had it when he needed it the most. Keep your eyes on this car. It's not going anywhere. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is going to be an awesome matchup. Two big heavyweights here for match 6, round 1. You got Sam Hall and Turbulence, which has been taking care of him this entire time. And Trent's fearsomely fast Copperhead concept car. If you remember early on, that took out Werner's Wrecker. So, he's got enough to work with here. But Sam Hall is one hell of a challenge. Let's get it! Sam taking the lead. Trent is all over him. All over him. But Turbulence takes off and sails into the box. That's one hell of a connection. 313, good trap speed. 8.418, good solid time. With round 1 in the books, Trent is on defense. And I'm not sure I've seen him run an 8.4 anything in this competition. So this isn't looking too hot right now. But anything can happen on the holo. You've heard me say it many a time. Match 2. It looks to be Trent sliding around. And another solid accident right into the box there. But Sam shuts him out. Wave bye-bye to the Copperhead. Trent. Another one in the books as Turbulence lays out yet another fast runner. Match 7, round 1, another tale of gold and black versus black and gold. Will he make it? Taking on Chuck Kiefer. Ferrari versus Audi. And the Ferrari with a hard jump off the line. He comes rocking out of the spiral and then runs into serious trouble. But with enough lead, he picks speed back up again. But his win is a nice and slow 9.7. It's races like this that make Poverty Hollow interesting. If Chuck can keep ahead of the Ferrari and also get pushed to a victory better than a 9.746, he's walking away with that far faster Ferrari. Just goes to show that anything can happen. But for the moment, Willie trying to make up ground. Once again, having trouble on the end of the bridge straight. But picks it back up. This time with a much better 9.0. Despite Willie putting another car away again, I wouldn't necessarily count Chuck out yet, considering he has a very certain and very well-known rally escort at his disposal. But say what you will, this 250 Testarossa still has it going on. Match 8, round 1, Vern Davis in his other car, the IROC Firebird, versus GNR Vintage Diecast in that absolutely gorgeous custom Toronado made by Johnny Lightning. And it looks to be that Vern is having all sorts of troubles getting away from that Toronado. But in the end, he does sink it. 9.878. It should be noted that the Firebird had a little bit of an off round in that last race, but also I believe the Toronado's suspension, or the underside of the car, which has this wonderful catch mechanism for Johnny Lightning's launcher sets, actually got caught on the start gate. But I can't really tell for certain, so we're going to roll with it and see what happens. And indeed, a much more even start this time. The Firebird is ahead. He had it where it counted. 9.354. Out of the interest of fairness, we're going to give that first race one last try just to make sure that it wasn't a fluke and GNR didn't get a handicap from the word go. The record is still standing, though, that Vern has a 9.3. That GNR would have to not only win the race, but also beat that time. Let's see what happens. This time, much more even start. They're close through the spiral, but it does appear that Vern is running away with that one. The hottest race yet out of that car. At least this time. 8.98. And just like that, the Toronado gets put back on the shelf. Which is a shame because it is a rather pretty car. Even Vern's backup car happens to be quick. Watch out, guys. Match 9, round 1. Douglas Gaffney has been a quiet competitor waiting around in that petty car until he decided to take a little bit of a bite out of the zombie. Zombie himself hasn't been very active and is still with that Silverado. Perhaps these are two guys that you weren't even sure were in this still. They're going to face off now. For the moment, the petty car is out, but the Silverado is still hanging around in the frame. Big burst of speed, but it was too little, too late. Gaffney puts it home at an 8.887. Round 2, and Zombie was proving at the very end of the lap that this truck has speed where it counts. All he needs to do is just put a run together and beat an 8.887 in order to keep that petty car. It's even, but the petty car gains the lead again. The Silverado drafting him all over the place. A little bit of a slide, and like that, Gaffney is a 2-car owner. And just like that, Gaffney takes one NASCAR and brings another one home with him. Match 10, round 1. Trent with my Monte Carlo. Yes, I'm still salty about that. Taking on Steven in the Mini. It's a 60-gram car versus a Hyper Light. Can the Mini hold on? And the Monte looks like it's taking off. Mini is still all over, and the Mini spins. That short wheelbase bit him this time, but he turns it back around and does finish the lap. 9.355. It's far from over yet. Despite the Mini spin, it has been a quick car. Trent, on the other hand, is looking to put one away after losing the Copperhead earlier this video. So he needs a second car just to stay safe. And they're off. This time they're dead even. The Mini takes the lead and then loses it in a spin. Monte puts it away. Both wins, both races. And Trent is a two-car man once again. Steven relegated to the GT40. And here it is. The Monte once again proves its mettle. Yes, I really did just use that pun. The final run for this video, match 11. And here it is, Sneaky Bob in a petty car versus yet another Chevy. Seems to be a theme here. Bob is trying to become once again a two-car man after the Camaro was taken from him. And James Case is just trying to hold on and stay in this competition. Let's get it! And the Dodge takes a commanding lead right from the word go. Comes out of the spiral. Looks like the Chevelle is stalling on the bridge straight. Once again. Bob puts it in the box. 9.785. After this being the fourth race that this car has been in, you have to wonder, is something plugged up about that Chevelle? Is it just a look-alike of an SS, and it really just has a 307? Well, let's see if Bob is going to put him away one last time. It's even at first, but the Charger begins to length out into the spiral. The Charger spins. And that's that for that race. We'll have to rematch. Match 11, round 2, take 2. Chevelle versus Charger. Even down the straights, and then the Charger takes the lead once again. Charger this time with the stability he needs. And that's that. And the Chevelle once again runs out of momentum on this loop. Though I'm not sure that it's much of a prize, Sneaky Bob is once again a two-car man.